thank you very much for being here. I'm from Maryland's 4th Congressional District. I first want to thank the President for negotiating in good faith on behalf of working families to ensure that they end this year and begin the new one knowing that middle-income tax cuts are going to be secure and that our economy is going to be on a solid footing for the future. I want to thank you as well to my colleagues in grassroots organizations and all of us for joining here today. But that said, we have some problems. As you know, an alternative formula for calculating the cost of living increase, the so-called chain CPI, has been proposed in the latest fiscal cliff negotiations. We're here today to reiterate our firm opposition to using this as a calculus. It would result in a significant benefit cut for 56 million seniors, veterans, people with disabilities, and our children who rely on Social Security and safety net programs. Social Security is a decades-old promise that's been made to the American public. And while we agree that the program may require long-term sustainability, we also know that the President had promised, and we want him to keep his promise, to keep Social Security out of this negotiation. Further, we have to consider that real proposals to ensure Social Security solvency are not included in this proposal, and so certainly don't require you to raise the retirement age or to institute an inappropriate calculation for inflation, such as the chain CPI. Some claim that the change is more of an accurate calculation for the cost of living adjustment. This is patently false for Social Security recipients. Let me repeat that. It's patently false for Social Security recipients. The chain CPI assumes that as prices for goods and services increase, consumers substitute those items for less expensive ones. For example, chicken for ground beef or romaine lettuce for iceberg lettuce. But for our seniors and veterans and individuals with disabilities, they don't have the kind of elasticity in their incomes that allow them to make substitution on the items that account for the largest share of their income: healthcare, housing, and fuel. And so it's wrong to hide these cuts behind an inaccurate statistical adjustment and describe those as a minor technical fix of a better formula. For seniors, it's not just a formula. It's a fact that the application of the chain CPI would reduce the annual COLAs for beneficiaries by 0.3% every year. And some say, oh, it's just 0.3%. But keep in mind that that compounds over time, and the average Social Security recipient who at age 65 receives just $15,000 a year in benefits will suffer cuts of $650 a year by age 75 and $1,130 a year by age 85. All total, these losses by age 95, if they're lucky for a retiree with average earnings, would be nearly $25,000. And so these large cuts don't really benefit our most vulnerable citizens, and they don't reflect the values of our nation that has to be part of any budget deal that truly is fair. Let me just say in closing that if it's Social Security insolvency that we seek, all you have to do is lift the current taxable earnings income limit to improve the solvency of the Social Security Trust Fund until 2083. That's a fairly simple fix if people are looking for simple fixes. And while the chain CPI proposal would apply to beneficiaries who most need benefits, it's really unclear whether it would be applied equitably to other areas of the tax code where there's a lot of money to be had that affect the highest income earners, like itemized deductions, for example. Let me be clear, we have to reach a deal and we have to strengthen Social Security. We can do that in another context. But these goals don't have to be conflated right now. And using the chain CPI as a mechanism to achieve savings is unfair to beneficiaries, and it further reduces the already modest benefits for millions of Americans. I'm confident we can come to a deal. I'm confident we can come together, but the most vulnerable Americans need to be shielded both from the looming fiscal cliff, but also from cutting their benefits. And with that, I'd like to introduce my colleague, Representative Peter DeFazio.
Thank you, Donna.